afternoon everyone, welcome to Manchester, and I have to apologise for the slight delay. Can you believe, after years of becoming trying to become world champion, Anthony Crolla forgets his belt. And Jorge Linares flew in from Las Vegas, and he had no problems bringing his belt at all. And as you know, 3 belts on the line in this massive clash on September the 24th, live on Sky Sports, the WBC Diamond Lightweight title, the WBA Lightweight title, and this very prestigious belt in front of us, the Ring Magazine belt. For those of you who know your boxing, have probably seen this belt on many big fights around, and especially in Rocky movies as well. But to a fighter, this belt is perhaps one of the most important in boxing. It gives you the credibility as the #1 fighter in your division. And I want to thank Michael Rosenthal of the Ring Magazine for allowing this great contest to be for the Ring Magazine lightweight title as well. Before I talk further, I think it's important, as we've brought this great fight to the UK, that we give both champions a huge amount of respect. And please let's have a round of applause for Jorge Linares and Anthony Crolla. The Anthony Crolla story has been told many times, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't tell it again at this press conference, because I love it, I love it. And I keep looking at pictures every day of different moments throughout this journey, and you have to pinch yourself just to really see if it's true. I remember the phone call on that cold December night to be told that the Richard Abril fight was off, and Anthony Crolla had fractured his skull trying to prevent a burglary in the house next door. And it was, although I spoke to him a couple of days after and promised him I would still get him a world title shot, it was one of those moments where you feel like your time has kind of passed. We worked so hard to get that Richard Abril fight, and then it was so cruelly taken away from us. Eventually, we got round to Darlys Perez, and I think we all watched a wonderful performance against Darlys Perez at the Manchester Arena. And I was just counting down the seconds of that final round till Anthony Crolla become the WBA lightweight champion of the world. And when the final bell rang, the arena went crazy. Joe picked up Anthony Crolla, and I looked across at the scorecards, as you do, trying to get a little peek down to see what the final result was. And when I saw it in the hand of the MC that night, Michael Buffer, I couldn't believe what I was reading. A draw. How can you have a draw? We won the fight. This is fate. You know, God's got a smile on us sooner or later. And that felt like that was the time that Anthony Crolla would become world champion. Went back to the change room. He continued to smile. He continued to be upbeat. And then he came back for the rematch. And again, thank you to Gilberto Mendoza for doing the right thing, for granting that rematch. And he gave us the rematch against Perez. And this man just becomes more and more determined every time I see him. They're probably, not probably, the nicest man in boxing, but the most tenacious, determined little son of a bitch I have ever seen in my life. And he is such a tough man to beat, especially, as he says, in his house, which is Manchester Arena. And that night against Darlys Perez, when he knocked him out with a body shot, go down, I think, as one of the great nights of British boxing. What followed, when we get given the mandatory against Ismael Barroso, who we saw destroy Kevin Mitchell at the O2, one of the most dangerous punchers in the division, was a performance last time out that will just go down long in the memory, even way beyond the Darlys Perez rematch, where he soaked up the punishment and ended up knocking him out again with a body shot. The images, the reaction of the crowd, that iconic picture that we have in our office, and you've got, Anthony, of the entire arena going nuts. This is what high-level sport is all about. It's about fighting the best. And when Barroso beat Kevin Mitchell at the O2, the first thing Anthony Crolla said was, "Oh, I can't wait to fight him." I said, no, we'll swerve that one, we'll find someone else. He went, no, I want to fight him. As soon as this fight was over, I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to fight Jorge Linares. I said, why? He said, because he's the #1 fighter in the world. He said, get the fights, get the Ring Magazine belt, that's what he wants to do. Look at the run of fights, Perez, Barroso, Linares. This is what great fighters do. It's an absolute pleasure to be working with Robert Diaz in Golden Boy, who, Robert has been around the sport a long time, and he shares that exact passion for the best fighting the best. And so does Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares is a 3-weight world champion. He is the best fighter in the lightweight division at the moment. On September 24th, we'll find out if that can change. We believe it can. We give huge respect for Jorge Linares as a fighter, as an individual, someone that is willing to travel around the world to fight the best. He came over and defended his title against Kevin Mitchell. It was given International Fight of the Year at the O2 Arena. Great fight, great fight. Came back, got off the deck to stop Kevin Mitchell in the 10th round. And now he comes to Manchester for the hottest fight in the lightweight division. It's an absolute joy to be promoting this event, and thank you for both guys for attending. Anyway, enough from me for now. There is a huge card as well on the night as well. We had the unfortunate news that Jose Burton, as fight against Frank Buglioni, has fallen through due to an injury for Frank Buglioni. Jose will still be on the card, as will Callum Johnson. A young man at the far end of the table, which I'm sure you've seen in his 3 bouts already, which is Conor Benn, has boxed in front of 18,000 at the O2 twice, up in 9,000 in front of Glasgow, and of course he's starting his professional career and he's a very exciting young fighter. A great fight been added just a couple of days ago for the WBA International Middleweight title between John Ryder and Jack Arnfield. We'll hear from them shortly. The debut of a very exciting GB fighter, Lyndon Arthur, and a packed card as well, Marcus Morrison, who kind of carries the flag with other Manchester fighters to develop through and looks like one of the most exciting middleweights around right now. A fantastic fight for the Commonwealth featherweight title between Isaac Lowe and Tafishi Munyai, who we saw Scott Quigg fight for the world title as well. So a packed night at September the 24th, and of course, as always, we want to thank our broadcasters, Sky Sports, and delighted to also announce a new partnership with Betfred to sponsor this show, and hopefully many more as well. And firstly, we're going to hear from a young man down the end who has huge footsteps to follow, but he's going about his business in a great way. He's a fine young man, trains very hard. I think he's going to be one of the most exciting fighters to watch over the next few years. And Conor Benn, like I say, has boxed at the O2 twice and Glasgow, and now it's time to give Manchester a spin.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to fighting in front of the Manchester crowd. Again, on such a massive bill. You know, I'm truly blessed, and this training camp's been different. Training is next level. I'm fighting a welterweight for this fight, and I think that's the best choice to make, and I feel improvements in sparring. I'm sparring like I've never sparred before. My confidence is very high for this fight, and I've got September the 10th, this one, and hopefully sometime in October, and just want to smash out as many fights as I can and stay active. Like I said at the beginning of my career, I want to fight every month and give the supporters exactly what they want, and I just love fighting.
Obviously, you've had a little rest from those 3 fights that happened very quickly. How much have you had a chance to reflect on those 3, and how much do you feel you've improved, particularly from the debut at the O2?
Massively, Lars. I was driving to the gym the other day and I thought, well, how on earth have I got here? Like, just how much drastically my life's changed since I've come to London, and you know, improvements. Again, there's always room for improvements. I'm improving every training session I do. You know, I'm just learning. I'm in the learning phase at the minute, and I'm all ears. And as long as I'm doing what I'm told, I'm confident. So yeah, that's it.
Jack Arnfield, we've seen you in some great fights on Sky, of course a prize fighter as well. A great fight with Nick Blackwell on Channel 5 as well. We know you've been looking for the big fights, and when the shot against John Ryder came, you and Steve Wood took it straight away.
Oh yeah, I've been training on the big stage for a while now. Had a British title fight against Nick Blackwell on Channel 5 last year. Fell short, unfortunately, and since then I've been pushing to try and get these big fights. So I've been calling fighters out, nothing personal, just trying to get my name out there. And Eddie come up and Steve come up with this fight, so I've got it as soon as I could.
Obviously not far from you, now you've got big support coming down from Blackwell. We know you would have watched a lot of John Ryder as well, and obviously world ranked now, and a chance to gate crash that party too.
Definitely. I watched John Ryder in a few of these fights. I respect John as a fighter, I think he's good, but I've definitely got the beating of him. These big shows where I want to be, so you'll see me with a big middleweight, and you'll see the best out of me on the 24th of September.
John, bubbling along, obviously top 15 in the world, but also with the British mix freezed up for now. This was a good chance for you to get out and a good domestic fight, obviously, and a big night at Manchester Arena.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was big offers on the table, big good offers on the table for good fights internationally, but I mean, nothing gets the water's flowing like a good domestic clash. So I'm really up for this fight and really looking forward to it.
Obviously, you know, with your world ranking, we'll be looking at those interim titles, WBC silver titles. How important is it not to overlook Armfield in this fight? Obviously, he wants to be in your position as well, and it's a fight you must deal with on the 24th.
Yeah, definitely. He's young and hungry, and obviously whoever wins this progresses, so it's a must-win for both of us.
Thanks, John. Robert, welcome, my friend. It's we really appreciate you guys making the trip from LA and Vegas. And this was a fight that got made pretty quickly in terms of big unification fights, and one that I know you're very excited about.
Eddie, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you for the hospitality. Manchester, it's great to be back. I see a lot of familiar faces. As Eddie said, I don't think there's this level of events, of fights being done as often and as easy as it is to work with you. When we got on the phone, I think it was within a couple of days at the most, we got the fight done. These two fighters are very similar. Anthony Crolla, I've known for, I think, 5 or 6 years. Tremendous fighter, tremendous person. He's getting better in every fight. But for a champion to be wanting to fight the best, that's where you have to applaud. He's not just a champion, he's a true champion. Jorge Linares is very similar, only wants to fight the best, regardless of where it is. I've seen it with Kevin Mitchell, went to his backyard. When the fight came up and I called him and I said, we might have to go to Manchester. If you think the London fans were wild, they have nothing on the Manchester fans. And Crolla's huge over there. He said, doesn't matter, I'll take my headphones, I won't hear it. But this belt means so much to Jorge. Being from Venezuela, he promised Mr. Mendoza before he passed that he would take back that belt. We were a little concerned when Anthony didn't bring it, because we want to take it now. We're going to have a great fight. It's going to be a great event, and may the best man win. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And a question to Jorge. Jorge, back in the UK, this is probably, well, it is the biggest fight in the division. How excited are you ahead of the 24th?
Bueno, primero que nada, gracias a Eddie, gracias a Golden Boy, gracias a la gente de acá de Manchester. La verdad que agradecido y con una nueva meta, que es la del 24 de septiembre. Así que pues, otro reto más, otro rival más, pero agradecido primero que nada con Dios por esta gran oportunidad que me está presentando para esta gran pelea que voy a tener con Anthony Crolla.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Anthony. Thank Golden Boy for this opportunity. It's another challenge in my career, another big fight, another big event, and I'm grateful to God for September 24th and this great fight we're going to put on.
Es mi segunda vez acá en Inglaterra. Hice una excelente pelea con Kevin Mitchell, ahora me toca Anthony Crolla, así que hemos trabajado bastante bien para esta gran pelea, así que contento porque tenemos un boxeo similar, mucho respeto de mi parte como también de su parte, nos parecemos un tanto y la verdad que va a ser una bonita pelea, así que nos vamos a robar el show.
Well, it's my second time in the UK. Obviously the fight we had with Kevin Mitchell in London and now here in Manchester. We have very similar styles. We're both good fighters and we respect each other very well. We've been working really hard and we're going to be very well prepared come September 24th. We respect them, but we have a goal in mind, and that's to take back the belt.
Thank you, Jorge. Joe, obviously the last 3 fights, Perez twice and Barroso, the tactics have been so important and spot on by yourself and Anthony. And we know, of course, this belt will mean a lot to you because, for those who don't know, will know Joe already has a Ring Magazine award as trainer of the year. He doesn't mention it a lot, so I thought I'd bring it up. But on a serious note, this is a fight that I know you're excited about. I know you know how difficult this fight is, and you've sort of downplayed the fights in the past in terms of when we've had a conversation. Oh, this is tough. But I know deep down you've had the confidence as well that Anthony can listen and execute a job on this huge night.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for turning out today. Huge respect for Robert Diaz and Jorge Linares for coming over so short notice and before the fight, only 5 weeks away. and it's great to be involved in a fight with all trash talk for a change. I don't know what to do with myself here. I'm usually giving trash talk out. No, but listen, it's a great fight. Anthony Crolla, Jorge Linares, both on a good run of form, not been beat since 2012, neither of them. One's coming on a run of form of 9 wins on the bounce, another one 10 wins, and both coming off good career performance wins as well. Jorge Linares with Kevin Mitchell and Carno, and Anthony Crolla with Perez and Barroso. Like I say, it's a great fight. It is what it is. The two best lightweights in the world fighting each other and putting it all on the line, and a chance for one of them to win that prestigious Ring Magazine belt. And not only that though, the WBC Diamond belt. I think there's only 2 fighters that won that before, is it Sergio Martinez and Floyd Mayweather? So to be amongst that elite, to hold that belt is fantastic. And to look at the belt there today and to see Anthony's picture alongside Muhammad Ali. I know Conor Ben said before, he thinks to himself, how did we get here? I phone Anthony every now and again, I go, how the fuck are we world champions? Sorry for swearing, by the way. But no, that's it. And it's the fighters, I've all seen them both today, and both of them, you think they're going to the GQ Awards, never mind boxing, they're both well turned out and immaculate. And no, it's a huge respect, and it's a great honour to share the ring that on the night with Jorge Linares, like I say, 3-weight world champion, one of my favourite fighters to watch. I know the lads in the gym, the likes like Callum Smith, they all admire watching him through the career as he was coming through. So it's got to be a great fight and always a great atmosphere. And like Robert said, they thought London was mad, wait till Manchester will be come September 24th.
Obviously, you know, you're not going to talk tactics at the press conference. What does Anthony have to do, and what has he done so well in the Perez and Barroso fights that has really seen the improvements? You know, since obviously we talked back about the Kieran Farrell fight and the Gavin Rees fight and how far he's come. What is he doing so well, and what does he need to do on the 24th to get the job done?
I think it's a case of, not what I touched back onto it, but when he had the incident and the accident, something that he's always known all his life was cruelly nearly took away from him, and the fact that he most probably was never going to fight again was a sharp reminder that maybe sometimes in training, I didn't really put it in today, didn't really need that, but it made him sit back, realise how much it was really took away from him. And he's come back more determined, more attention to detail, and with great momentum, and he won't be denied. And that's the thing, he won't be denied. He had a great win over Perez, great win over Barroso, and like when we were talking about his next fight, I was like, let's go with the momentum. Anthony wants momentum, he's on a roll, and when you're like a striker, when you're hot, and Anthony Crolla is hot at the moment. Jorge Linares, I know he's preparing really well. Me and Robert Diaz are having banter over Instagram instead of the fighters. No, I think Anthony's attention to detail is hot, he's on a good run of form. The crowd are getting behind him, and that's it. And you've got to go with the flow. And I think Anthony, with this, fighters always say, the better the opponent, the better I'll be. And Anthony Crolla has shown that in his last 2 fights. I think with Jorge Linares, he's got to raise it again. Because we're fighting boxing a fighter that can fight, can box, can stand with you, or can box on the outside. So Anthony's got to raise his game again. I know Jorge Linares, most of it, they weren't expecting Anthony to beat Barroso, obviously beating his fellow Venezuelan countryman Barroso. Most of it thought Barroso was going to beat. Now, the fact that Anthony knocked Barroso out has made Jorge Linares and the team think, whoa, that kid can fight a little bit, he's got a chin, and we've got to come up with plan A, plan B, plan C to beat Anthony Crolla, and that's a huge compliment on behalf of Anthony Crolla.
Thanks, Joe. Anthony, I remember being in this exact room, we were up the other end, when we announced the Darley's Perez 1 fight. Yep. And I'm not ashamed to say I welled up a little bit that day, I know you did, but now it's more about the business side, and you're here now in this huge unification fight. And I remember when I talked to you about this fight, you sort of say, can that really happen? Can we do that fight? And you've got everything you wanted, and you've got everything on the line that any fighter would want.
Yeah, that's the thing. Connor's just touched on it, Joe did. I do think sometimes, wow, how did it happen so fast? And when you look back, just a few years ago, I could never have imagined this. You mentioned before about Callum Smith. He's a Jorge Linares fan. Joked in the gym, he says, I don't know who to cheer for that night. Now listen, I'm a Jorge Linares fan myself, but I've watched him for a few years. Obviously, that's not to get mixed up with once that first belt goes on, respect goes on the window, and we're putting on a great fight. But I'm fighting a great fighter, I'm fighting for the greatest prizes in the sport, and that's something I'm very thankful for, yourself and the team delivered. And it's going to be a great night in Manchester. Robert's going to be prepared, he's out the Manchester crowd's like. And that night, the boys are going to go and do the job across the road, and the place is going to be absolutely rocking.
How much now is it a case of, obviously, you know, the Cinderella story that people talk about? We're kind of over that now. And it's about creating a legacy in the sport. To win the world title was fantastic, but to unify the division and become #1 is something that will go down in the history books, and now you have a chance to do that.
Yeah, we've always done it soft, and I almost see this as a bit of a legacy fight. I spoke to it about it with you, and with this, it's every young kid walks into a gym, they start boxing, they dream of becoming a world champion. I've done that now. I come into boxing to win a world title and try and pay my house off, and that's done. So anything else now, I don't want to feel like people to think, oh, he's settled at that. Nah, listen, like I say, I'm honoured to be fighting for this. I'm honoured to be in these big fights, but I'm hungrier than ever. Honestly, I like it too much. I like them big Manchester nights way too much to let it go now. And I say on that night, it's once that bell goes, it's just going to be me and your game, and it's always you, your opponent. But that crowd plays a massive, massive part in me that night. If those few fights I might not have won if I was away from Manchester. I'm not scared of going on the road. Like I say, I really think we'll put on a great fight, and we can have the rematch in Vegas. I'll defend the belts in Vegas, but no, I'm so excited for this now. I'm just counting down the weeks in a good place. Training's going fantastic. We're joining the team. We're working on bringing something new, which we know we'll have to do for a fight like your game. But I'm going to be well prepared. Weight's all good. Listen, I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Finally, Anthony, you talk about Manchester Arena and your house. You said after the Barroso fight, no one comes into your house and takes this off you. What does that arena do for you when you make that walk? You know the changing room so well. It's almost like it gives you some kind of extra strength and power and skill on the night, everything, to produce these performances that everybody just keeps on talking about.
It does. I really do see it as my house in there. I gave it a stick up the last for it, but that's what I see it as. And that walk, I say time and time again, the only fighters who've done that walk in front of a packed out crowd can explain the feeling. I always say no drink or drug will ever give you that feeling. And on September the 24th, that walk, that into the ring, the energy the crowd's going to give me is going to be bigger than ever before. And I really believe I'll put in a career best performance, which will be needed against a great fighter like Jorge Linares.
Thank you, Anthony. Two great gentlemen, two great fighters. September 24th, WBA lightweight title, WBC diamond title, the Ring magazine on the line as well. I want to thank everyone for attending today, and I want to thank Manchester as well. We're up to about 10,000 now for this. We've just under 5 weeks to go. We're about to open up this top tier. I'm telling you now, the city, the people, tell your friends, tell your family, get behind this young man. You've done it so well. He needs every one of your support. Let's make September 24th a full house at the arena. The atmosphere is going to be through the roof. And may the best man win on this great fight for world boxing and, of course, British boxing as well. Thank you very much.